Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Boss Rush Video Game Book Club. Happy New Year's to all those who are just all of our wonderful patrons. If you're not a patron, happy February. But we are the Boss Rush podcast, the monthly spoiler cast here and review discussion about games that you have voted on. And I am your host, Patrick Klein, PK Power, and reintroducing my co-host. Most people on the internet know her as Taylor, but I know her as a girl that would rather do anything, or who'd rather get away with doing anything else other than working on her bucket list right now. Please welcome Taylor.
Hi everyone, it's good to be back. Hope y'all had a wonderful holiday season and a happy new year. I hope 2025 will be a good year for y'all, and I'm excited to continue being on this podcast.
Thank you. We're really excited that you're sticking around. That makes me happy. Otherwise, I'd have to keep finding guests, and it's scary sometimes. You just go out there and you're like, "Hey, you wanna be on a podcast?" And then some people reject you, and then you just feel sad. But
Oh,
luckily, the person that we have with us tonight did not reject me. And we're excited to have her back, especially since this is a game that she has worked on in her company. Please welcome Lala Tamira, social media manager of Toge Productions.
Yay! Hi everyone. I'm Lala from Toge Productions, and I'm currently the social media manager of Toge Productions. Space for Unbound is one of the very first games that I worked on with and have my name on the credits. So yeah, I'm really excited to talk about one of my most favorite video game ever, and it's not even sponsored, not because I work in the company, not at all. But yeah, I'm really serious about it. So let's get it started.
Awesome. So, Lala, as we mentioned that you do work at Toge Productions.
Mm-hmm.
This was considered one of your very first projects at Toge,
Yes.
wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. So how is that? Like, you have a video game that was released internationally and it's got your name on it.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel?
It was actually very awesome. Like all this time playing video games, I until I reach the credits, I can only see like all the amazing um people names on the credits, and to be in one of like um game credits, like have my name on it, it was actually unreal. Like like the first time I finished the game. So a little bit of fun fact, I waited for the game to be fully released to kind of like play it from all the way from the start to the end, just to get like the whole feeling, the whole vibe, because I don't want to kind of spoil myself with like development build and stuff. So I never tried it before and only played after the release. Made it to the end and see my name on credits. It's just like it was unreal. Like did I really just like work on with people who made like
yeah.
this game, this awesome stuff? So yeah, it was unreal, but honestly I'm really proud of it because it's my favorite game. It's the game itself is very like solid, I think, and to have my name on it, it's like unreal and proud moment. Like, is it really me? Am I really working with these people? Like, but I think after like few days, it's kind of like hit that it's also one of my of the things that I worked on with. So I was really proud of it.
Hey, so Lala, I hear that this game kind of has a personal significance for you. You mind telling us what that is?
Yeah, so a space for the unbound, like the whole setting, is actually based in a city in Indonesia called Surabaya, and it's actually a city where I was born in. So I was there for like 3 to 4 years. I can't really remember, but to seeing like the city that I was born in a video game, and it's pictured like really perfectly. I think it's very like got like all the vibes and everything in it. It's like it really like hits me hard, and it really feels personal to me, and not about like all the settings, and also like the the story theme, like the narrative stuff. I deal with like a similar thing with Raya before, so like seeing it in the game, and um you know how like people like picture it, like it really feels like personal and holds dear to my heart. So yeah, that's that.
No, I gotta agree with you. Like there's something about the story
Mhm.
of A Space for the Unbound that is extremely personal. Like I related to Raya so much in this game that it's almost uncanny, and to me it felt like I was actually being heard. Something that I it's really hard for people with depression to kind of feel that way because
Mhm.
it's a very isolating condition to those who experience it, and often you are feeling like you're the only one that is fighting a very losing battle. And that's one of the things I love about this game is that it takes on such a beautiful translation of just what depression feels like.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves there. We'll definitely go and talk about that here in the spoilers. But before that, I just want to, do a little housekeeping and say, for those listening, if you want to support the Video Game Boss Rush book club and the Boss Rush podcast, you can go and visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Boss Rush Network. And you can subscribe to tiers on our Patreon that can grant you exclusive perks like our pre and post shows, exclusive question threads for our Spotlight podcast, and early access to our Coming Back After Dark series and other expansion pass content like this show. And just so you know, even if you aren't a Patreon, your viewership and listenership is enough for us. So please subscribe to the Boss Rush Network on YouTube and like this video. Or if you're listening on any podcast like Spotify or Apple Podcasts, feel free to leave us a rating and a nice review on those platforms. And finally, you can find all of our content, our banters, our features, our listicles, reviews, and more on our website at bossrush.net. So, we're going to be talking about A Space for the Unbound. It was a game that was released on January 19th, 2023. So, happy second birthday to Space for Unbound here by the time you listen to this. You can find this game on all major platforms except for mobile. I think that's the only place you can't find it, but it works on literally all the other platforms. Yeah.
Oh, um,
Are we getting an exclusive announcement?
not like when the podcast is out, like we actually currently have like pre-order pre-save on the iOS for A Space for the Unbound. Currently it's only for iOS, not for mobile. As for the release date, you can find it on the Toge Productions social media. But yeah, you can pre-save and pre-order A Space for the Unbound on iOS now.
Oh,
Awesome.
nice.
Love hearing that. Now that just needs to be another system that I need to get it on now that I bought it 3 times. And very tempted to buy a fourth one now that I saw the Serenity Forge sale and saw the collector's edition like 50% off.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was awesome.
Hmm.
Um, Anyways, this game was developed by Mojiken and published by Toge Productions, and it got an 85% on Metacritic, which is a very good score for an indie title. And
Yeah.
not only that, it was nominated. By the time you're listening to this, it was nominated in 2023. Get the Game Awards. It was nominated for Best Impact. It
Yeah.
did not win, sadly,
Oh,
but it was nominated, and that
Yeah,
was huge.
that is huge.
So,
it was
hmm
huge.
yep, yep. So, what do you guys think? In a spoiler-free context, let's kind of go through and discuss kind of like what we thought about the game and our own personal little review. Taylor, why don't we start with you this time? What did you think? Because I've been pushing this game hard for you to
Hmm.
play this, and so
Hmm.
when it finally won, I'm like, oh, she has to play this. She's gonna have to put this at the top of her backlog and play this right now.
Yeah, see,
So
that's
how
the
was
thing I
it?
love about this podcast is that it's like I get forced to play games, so will probably be lower on my backlog. So I'm actually really happy I got to play this. I actually had not heard of this game at all before you had mentioned it to me, but I'm not big into indies.
Mhm.
Like I've only played like 4 indie games. I'm trying to get better at playing those. So I went into this knowing nothing about it. I didn't even watch a trailer on it because I like to go into games blind because I like just experiencing everything for the first time and not knowing what to expect. Um, but no, I really liked this game. Um, I was a little torn about it like halfway through, but by the end of the game, I absolutely loved it. One of my favorite things about the game was just trying to figure out what was going on. I remember like every chapter, I was like formulating new theories. Like I remember after chapter one, I'm like, this is what I think is going on, and yada yada yada. Then by chapter two, a couple of my theories got like thrown out the window. And it was like, as the story progressed, I was just like, what is going on? Like, I'm trying to piece together like what is going on in this world and stuff with the characters. And I love stuff like that. So it was very satisfying getting to the end of the game and actually figuring out as a overall everything that happened in the story, what was going on the whole time. Um, the gameplay itself, some of it I liked, and then some of it I didn't like, if I'm being honest. There was one chapter in specific it was just too much like I don't know, running around. I don't know. My friend watched me play the game and he said it felt kind of like fetch questy. Like it was constantly like go grab these 3 items and come back, or go do this and come back and go back and do that. And I
Mhm.
was just like, but I did like space diving a lot. That was one of my favorite aspects of the gameplay because that to me was very interesting. Um, kind of going through people's inner thoughts or like inner demons, and kind of helping them get past those. I liked that we got the pet a million cats. Everywhere I went, I was petting every animal I saw. I was like, this is the best. I liked naming them because I named them random names. Like I liked Mustache. I named one Soap. And I was like, this is fantastic. So that was good. I liked the art style. I think the pixel art, I loved the art style so much, and the music. And the first couple chapters, at least especially chapter one, it felt very much like a cozy game. I really liked the start of the game, and I'm like, oh, this is like a cute, cozy, feel good game at the beginning. Um, and yeah, but as we will talk about later, by far the story was my favorite part of the whole game. I loved the story, and it's one of those games that once I beat the game, I like sat there and just thought about everything that happened in all the prior chapters leading up to the end, and it just made me appreciate everything more. It made me see all the characters in a whole new light. Um, and yeah, it def hit me in the feels. I cried a couple times. And it was really well done. Like to me, the story was fantastic. And I do like that the topics that it touched on. So that's my thoughts.
Awesome. No, I definitely agree a lot with your comments here. But before we get into my comments, I want to hear what Lala thought and her most unbiased opinion of
No, no,
her game.
seriously. Yeah. So actually, like the first thing that hooked me into the game was the pixel art, the
Mm,
visuals. Not just because like it was very beautiful. I love like the colors and the setting of it being in 90s Indonesian because I was born at 1919, so well you can still consider me as like 90s kid. I still like experience like some of the nostalgic 90s Asian stuff in the game, Southeast Asian to be exact. Um,
Mhm.
maybe like for people who live in the Western or like not really um familiar with the Southeast Asian culture, it might feels a bit like foreign or like something different. But since it's like literally like place where I grew up with, I seen like some of the things that I did as a child. It was like collecting bottle caps. It was like a
Mm.
thing here, and the whole like the cinema, the school, and everything, it like really pictures perfectly like what they have here in Indonesia at the 90s at the time. That one thing hooked me, but as I played the game, I was like kind of toughen up myself a bit because I thought like I won't be crying on the game, like how bad can it be, like how how sad can it be? Like I was really thinking, oh, I'm just like going to enjoy the game, enjoy this the visual stuff, the pixel art, and the gameplay itself. But I was crying at 4 a.m. in the morning when I finished the game. I think it's one of my very like first games that made me cry because I didn't expect it to like hits home that hard, but it was like a really really great experience. I also agree with Taylor that she mentioned before, like there's a chapter that feels very like just running around, do
Mhm.
like course and collecting stuff. I also agree with you on that, but I think like at the end of the whole game, like the chapter, I think it's really worth it. Like we can see how everything is like connected, how everything is like tied with another thing. And and also like what was I going to say? I forgot. I lost my train of thoughts. Oh yeah, and also like the pet the cats. Like I literally like replaying the game from the chapter 2 because I forgot to pet one thing, and I can't really
Mhm.
forgive myself for that. Like what? I made sure I pet everything. So I think it was like 3 a.m. in the morning or stuff. I look at like Wikipedia or something or any like fandom wiki, like which animals that I haven't pet yet, and it's actually on the like second chapter. So I replaying everything like from the second chapter. But yeah, at the end of the day, it
Mhm.
was like really worth it. Like I think it's not like it's really worth it like to just like replaying all the things from like the chapter 2. But yeah, it's a very like I think slow burn kind of narrative, but
Mhm.
once you get there, quote unquote, you get there, like it just feels really like mind blowing.
Mm.
Mhm. Yeah, I will say like that. I think I know exactly which animals I missed the first time I played this, and it was the two chickens in the swamp
No,
after you get them to meet.
no, it's
Like
actually like
that. Oh,
the
go
mi-
ahead.
the mice in the store, I
Oh,
think.
you see, I got the mice the first time. It was the chickens for
Those
me.
are I missed
As
the mice on this playthrough, and I was upset
hmm
that I missed fuzzy animals because then I couldn't get the specials there. I was
hmm
like,
Yeah.
no.
You get told by the yak in chapter 4, I can't
Mm.
trust you because two animals did not
Yeah, I
fully
was
agree with you. It's like,
heartbroken.
mm.
They
Yeah. S so my I echo a lot of what you guys said. The fetch, I understand why there was fetch questing. In my opinion, I think that was the best way to introduce the city and the characters that you meet. Um, but it definitely felt like it that chapter, I think you literally had to fetch quest 3 items at least 2 times. It might have been 3 if I remember correctly, because you had to get the ingredients and then you had to get more stuff for the chef in that chapter. And just like,
Mhm,
okay,
mhm,
uh but yeah, I feel though like it once you got through the game, I understand why. So I
Mhm.
it's a slow burn, but again, it's the way the story is told, the way that it ends at, you know, everything just. I feel like the fetch quest can be forgiven to an extent because of that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but yeah, this game has absolutely like a very peaceful setting. I love getting to know the culture. They say a lot of different food names that I am definitely not familiar with and need to
Mhm.
find out more. Especially again when you're dealing with the pastry chef and wanting her to branch out. She mentions three different foods and it's like, what are these?
Yeah, I didn't recognize any of the foods they were talking about. I was like, I have to look these up.
hmm But I have seen Lala's Instagram, and so like I can tell Indonesia has some pretty damn good looking food from
Yep.
some of the things she posts on that. So I'd be very interested to kind of taste the cuisine just a little bit here to
Oh, they
to
don't
see
have
if
like some Indonesian kind of restaurant.
um
Mm,
not not really where I am. Our
yeah,
Indonesian
not
population's
where I'm
pretty
either.
small.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think you have to be more West Coast to get more of those restaurants, unfortunately.
Yeah. Like I bet like LA and New York probably have a ton of them, but there's
Mhm.
not much where I live either.
Yeah. So I don't know, it'd be very interesting to see if maybe we can find an Indonesian Are you coming to PAX East, Lala, this year?
I don't know because it's not my decision. Like it's my supervisor and all the C-level decision. But I really hope that I can go to PAX East like this year because I think it will be on May, right? Like at least it's not free.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, it'll
So
be much nicer weather.
Mhm.
you won't be freezing because Indonesia is a very tropical
Yeah,
island all year round.
exactly. But
So
I think it's still okay. Even though I live in like a tropical island, I still prefer like cold weather more. So yeah, as long as it's not on the last on this year PAX is where it was like raining and windy, like very.
Mhm.
It was like it was like very bad. I think I'm going to be okay.
I think you'll be fine too. You're a
Mm.
veteran now at Boston weather. Uh, but yeah, the food. I'd be very interested to see what Indonesian cuisine is like, and who knows, maybe PAX East we can find something in Boston, and you can like present us, be like, this is what you need to try, this is what you don't need to try.
I would love that.
Can you guys handle spicy?
I
I
as long
cannot.
as spice has flavor to it,
Mm-hmm.
I can kind of deal with it. But it's spiced for the sake of just being hot. Yeah, I'll pass, but I'm willing to
Okay, okay.
try.
I got it now.
Mhm.
Well,
hmm
I think it will be like a bit hard for you guys to find like a non-spicy Indonesian food, but I think you guys like find it anywhere like on the America. They kind of adjust the spiciness level. I
hmm
think I've never been to one before, but yeah.
Mhm.
I think I would agree because I've worked for a company that was owned by a Taiwanese company, and they knew the Chinese restaurants, and there was the American menu, which you see, and then there was the secret Chinese menu, which you didn't. And
Like
I was told that they keep their American menu pretty bland because Americans cannot handle the spice that gets on the
Oh,
Chinese
it's so
one.
yeah,
funny.
yeah, I think they do
Uh,
that like in like some restaurant, especially like in the Western, because it it's really spicy, especially like Indonesian food. So
Mhm.
all right. Well, something to look forward to. All right, so that was our spoiler-free discussion. We are going to be jumping here into spoiler territory. Territory. We're going to try to do things a little different. This is a fairly short game, and so we feel that even though it does have a very good story to tell, most of the story is told at its most like finest at the end. So we're going to kind of speed through the chapters so that we can talk more about the themes of the game rather than just kind of walking through the game. So with that said, let's actually start with the prologue uh, of the game, where you start with Atma, and he's in a trailer with a little girl named Nirmala, who is they're trying to come up with this story about a princess, and Nirmala is kind of having a little bit of a writer's block, and Atma is an inspired writer himself, and he's like, you know what, let's go and get some fresh air, and beat those blues, beat that writer's block. And so it kind of introduces you to the game mechanics, the 2D side scrolling. It introduces you to the space dive to help Nirmala overcome a little bit of writer's block. And we kind of see a little bit of what's causing the block. And it we don't get too deep into it. Then, fortunately, that's saved more towards the end. But we see that she's afraid of what people will think about her story. And Atma's like, screw what people think. Like, this is your story. Tell how it is. And so she sends you on a fetch quest to go and find a magic wand, which is part of a story prop for her story to kind of maybe help move things along with her writer's block. The reason she sends you is because she's not terribly comfortable about her house situation. Again, something that is not brought up too much in the beginning, but we find out more. And so we get that. It starts raining, and you run to the river, and you hear Nirmala scream for help. And Atmo tries to, run down there, and you see Nirmala. She's kind of gotten caught into the water. She's a little too far from the dock now on a very unstable raft. And Atma is trying to figure out how can he, save her because neither of them know how to swim. It's raining and the currents are probably going pretty fast. So this is not a very good situation for Nirmala or Atma. First he tries the wand, reach out for the wand, but unfortunately a bolt of lightning scares them, and they drop the wand. And then he tries reaching out with the book that they're writing their story in. And unfortunately, the dock breaks and Atma falls into the river. And he's trying to get to Nirmala, and we see that he's not very successful as he goes under, and we get kind of a credit scene where he's like drifting in the blackness. And then he wakes up, and it's all just one crazy ass dream. What do we think about this? Like this was a pretty like powerful way to start the game. Um, like, did we think he was experiencing something from his past, or did we think that that was a dream? Because he didn't clearly know what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do we think?
For me, that was one of my theories, like right at the beginning, that I thought it was a past memory. So I thought he did actually experience that. And I thought
Hmm.
his dreams were him reliving stuff or remembering stuff that happened to him in the past. So that was just how I interpreted it like kind of like right off the get go, I guess.
Hmm. How about you, Lala?
As for me, when I first playing like the prologue, I thought it was like the multiverse thingy. Like it
Hmm.
happened in another universe and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and it he was waking he was like experiencing as a dream, quote unquote. But I, like those kind of stuff. That was my first like ever theory. But yeah, I think that's that. How about you, Patrick?
hmm I thought I was kind of in the Taylor boat with the. I think he's reliving a memory,
Uh,
um, but he wasn't too sure. Like maybe he like got amnesia, the common trope of amnesia, like he hit his head or something during this,
Mhm.
and so he doesn't really remember who Nirmala was.
mhm.
Um, but we meet this other half of the main characters in this game, Raya, who wakes him up and tells him that oh hey, I'm your girlfriend. Why don't you remember me? You know, this is some very bad joke, and I'm not really up for that. But then they're like, okay, we're two teenagers. We're kind of at the end of our uh, high school days, and we have to kind of think about what we want to do in the future. So we're being encouraged to finish up these college or these like I guess what like these life assessments. Is this something that
Mm.
you actually do in Indonesia when you're finishing high school?
Sorry.
The assessment that Ryan and Atma were supposed to be filling out in the beginning of the game, is that something that's actually done in the Indonesian culture?
Yeah. Well, it's not like it's actually like something that we felt like when we were in maybe like almost at the end of our high school years, just so you can kind of discuss it with your homeroom teacher, I think. So yeah, what's your plan for the future, etc., stuff and stuff. So well, sometimes like the teacher would kind of like recommends you to, oh, if you want to go that path, in that career path, you can, we can recommend you to this kind of university or and stuff like that. But it's like it's not something that is like a must thing to do. But sometimes, yeah, they it's like a very casual discussion of like your plan for the future, like what do you want to be. So teacher and the school can kind of give you like recommend you like the right path, or like maybe like
Hmm.
an educational like university that you can go to for like that career path. I think that's that.
Okay. Okay, that's cool. I don't recall us having anything similar to that here in America. I
Mhm.
just remember a computer program that asked you a bunch of questions and you basically got told that you're good for the Peace Corps at the end of it because you didn't fit any of the other descriptions. Basically, it told you go into the army. Yeah. Uh, but anyways, they decide, you know what, we're gonna create a bucket list and we're just gonna skip school. And that's something that like surprised Atma because Rhea's supposedly a model student, that this should not be something that she should be typically caught doing. But they come out with a really cool bucket list. Each one took a turn of like different things they want to do. Like Atma says, "Oh, I want to pet all the animals. I want to pet the most fluffiest animal around." Or Ray is like, "I want to eat a whole chateau." I should have
A
wrote
black
down what the name of
forest.
that.
It was like a black
Black
forest
Forest.
Like
ghetto.
first.
Yeah, Black
Mhm.
Forest Gateau. It's kind of funny. Like Ray had all the like romantic kind of ones down. Like, oh, I want to see fireworks and I want to throw a party and, find something memorable. And Emma's like, I want to beat the high score of that video game.
Yeah.
I want to collect bottle
Bottle
caps.
caps. Yeah. Sure that you mentioned it. It's kind of funny, actually. I didn't notice that.
It's kind of like where are their priorities right now? One
Hmm.
wants to find love,
Mhm.
the other one just wants cool stuff.
Yeah.
Sleeping
I
boys.
love that.
Hmm So they decide after they get the list that they're going to achieve one of the first things on the bucket list, a very easy one. Let's go see a movie together. And that's where we start seeing that Ray is not a normal teenage girl. She can do something with her hands. It starts to glow, and things just magically appear, such as having $5 in your pocket somehow just magically appears there, and it does that a couple times because Emma's not very good with his money,
He's not.
apparently. uh, but then I mean, we it's kind of cool. Like, all right, she's got this ability. Then she kind of starts taking it to the extreme by changing the movie that they're
Mhm.
seeing. Um, and it's cute. It was either a choice between a rom com or a cyber raptor movie, The Revenge of the Cyber Raptor. And it's funny because like regardless of which one you do, all of a sudden the dialogue starts changing into like cats, and it's it's kind of cute. And also there's a little mini game in it where like you can like push buttons and well, maybe if you push it at the right time, your hands touching the popcorn bucket.
Mhm.
I did that like over and over and over again on purpose.
It,
It's like,
it
oh,
was like
handed.
so cute.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was working hard on getting them together. I was like, touch hands, touch hands.
I did it for the achievement. You did that on purpose, didn't you? Yeah. And so, and she takes it one step further. Not only does she change the movie, but she all of a sudden is like, you know what? Let's go to this magical land called Cat Wonderland, where you can pet all the kitties that you want.
Mhm.
And it seems like a beautiful place. And then you find a little black kitty all by himself who says, "This world's going to end."
Mhm.
And you're like, "What?" Okay, kind of dark, but you know, this world's going to end and all of a sudden the cats start getting hissy. And you get
Mhm.
out of that world and you find out that it kind of bled into the current world where all of a sudden now people are thinking they're cats and they're destroying the theater.
Mhm.
Uh, so this is your first sight of what happens when Rhea starts losing control of her power. And it's kind of like that very first warning sign that, you
Mhm.
know, she doesn't quite have full control over this. You luckily managed to fix it with Space Dive, but now you're like, okay, this power was cool, but you need to be careful with it. And that brings us to chapter 2, Eric. We're introduced, well, we kind of got introduced briefly to Eric in the last chapter. He's kind of a punk. Um, and Rhea does not seem to like him very much. And we find out she has a very good reason why. But this is the infamous chapter that we all talked about that basically is a fetch quest. It is
Mhm.
one very long, fetch this, good, now go and fetch these. And it's designed that way, in my opinion, so that you get to go and check out all the different neighborhoods into the town and to also introduce you to all the different characters. Like in this
Mhm.
chapter, we meet characters like Admiral, the new kind of kitty that you guys find in the streets that you help
Mhm.
make a shelter for, which is one of the fetch quests that you're doing.
Yes.
We learn about Eric. We learn about Uncle Buddy. Good old Uncle Buddy and his shiny head. Is it
Yeah,
Buddy or Booty?
it's Booty.
Booty? Okay. Yeah, all
Booty.
right. Sorry, I
So it's
Americanized
not like
that.
booty, but booty, like heart on the D.
Mm.
Booty.
Mm-hmm. Booty.
Yes,
Yep.
correct.
Booty.
His
Yep.
shiny forehead was so funny. It was like very reflective. I was like, wow.
It like
And
a
then
king
also
in
coming up with
here.
the oil slogan. This
Mhm.
oil is so good you can drink it. It's like, ew. uh, but then we also get to meet Sensei, who's playing a video game, and that is how you learn how to fight, is
Yep.
through playing a video game, just like
Yes.
Sensei did.
Yep. Learn from the video game at its best.
Mm-hmm. You learn those counters. You learn those QTIs, and for those who are achievement masters, you try to get the 1,700 points so that you can get the achievement of being
Mm,
the world's
Mhm.
greatest fighter.
yeah.
And let me tell you,
I
you
actually like got like the achievement of the high score on my first try. I was like, what?
Yeah.
dang. I
It was
I'm
hard,
not
but
gonna lie. I got 1,600 on my first try. I was 100 shy.
Oh, I
oh,
think I got to 2000 or 2100 on my first try. So I did pretty
Dang.
good.
Dang. Yeah, you're definitely number one here, Taylor. I once I got to 17, I'm like, I'm dropping the controller. Let the bad guy character just beat me now. Uh, and then we also get the juggling, the football juggling, and
mhm.
I got to 100 on that one. That
I,
one was
I
a
didn't
lot
I didn't
easier.
do that.
You
What
didn't get
was
to 100?
No, I didn't do the foot Wait, what's the football juggling?
The soccer ball, where you're kicking it in the air.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm thinking
Yep.
American football. I'm so sorry. I'm having
Yeah.
soccer.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't remember
Soccer.
football. Okay, sorry. Yes, that one I
Mhm.
was getting frustrated. I couldn't get the rhythm down at first. I failed like 5 times in a row. Like I would get to like low numbers like 15, 18,
Mhm.
12, and then all of a sudden it just clicked and it was like shoom up to like 100 and I was like, wow, I feel
Exactly.
amazing now.
Same.
Yeah.
It was like so hard to get into first, but once you get it, like it's just kind of like there's this feeling that you can just go on and on and on, and
Yeah.
I am grateful that it did not speed up, like a lot of those games do when they're like
yeah,
Oh
get to
yeah.
100 and then they're like
Mhm.
do, and then like when you're at 90, it's like
yeah.
like don't miss, otherwise you got to do it all again.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, it's we do all these fetch quests here, and on it you can kind of start checking off Atma's list by finding different animals to pet, gum wrappers to trade, and getting that high score, as well as the musicians. The musicians was a very beautiful thing side quest in the game. And it was a very nice nod to one of Mojikan's other games that they
Mhm.
created.
Mm.
When the past comes around, or what
When the
was it
past
called?
was around, when the
Yeah,
past was around,
it's
yep.
hmm yeah,
Mhm.
it's a game that I also recommend that people should try. It's it was a nice nod to like that game. Um, But then we find out while we're making the cake, we hear Admiral make a sound, a very horrible sound, and we find out that Eric, in his cockiness, accidentally ran over Admiral, killing the cat.
Yeah, it was. I think it was really traumatizing, I guess, because it's actually a common thing in here because there's a lot of stray cats in
Oh
the
no.
areas, and in Indonesia, like people mostly use motorbikes instead of car. Well, they do have cars, but if you're just like going around the block, they use motorcycles, and it's actually like a very common thing to kind of like accidentally hit a cat. And sometimes when it's rainy season, they kind of like climb to the car's tire and hide in
Mm,
here.
Oh.
We can't really see them, and they don't really like talk much. And when we kind of like use our car, they kind of
Mhm.
hmm
in there and crushed by the tire. But yeah,
Mhm.
so it's actually like something that my dad accidentally did to like one of the stray cats. Like we didn't mean to like hit it because we really can't see them. But after
Mhm.
that, we kind of like did a proper like bu- burial 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 sorry
Mhm.
to the cat, and yeah, that's that. But yeah, I think it's something that happens like very common in here, so please be careful
Aw.
when like crossing
Yeah.
streets or like riding your motorcycles or car in the streets, because yep, that's that.
Mhm.
Aw.
No, yeah. I'm not gonna lie. The first time I played this game and that scene happened, I almost did not come back to the game. Like that actually hurt. That was probably one of
I
the
know.
toughest scenes to watch, in my opinion. But
Mhm.
I grew up with cats, so seeing that, I luckily I all my cats have been indoor cats, but it's still the
Mhm.
thought of like my cat getting run over, like just
Mhm.
how heartbroken would I have been.
Mhm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we see how heartbroken Raya was, because Raya um really called Eric out on this. Like Eric
Mhm.
being his jerky self is like, "Oh, I'm just going to steal the cake and, tr- get her to like me again because I gave her her favorite cake." Like Eric was constantly thinking about himself. And there's some game scenes, with space diving, and we see Eric turn into a giant were dog. But then we see Raya, who's like absolutely furious at this point because like Atma's getting beat up. Eric, killed her favorite cat. She just literally snaps Eric out of existence. Like you just see him get like torn up and like disappear. And it's like, holy crap, she
Mhm.
just killed a guy with her power.
Yep.
And I don't know. At this point, like, what are our thoughts about Rhea? Like, it's like this was something that was very like this was a line crossing moment for me with her.
Yes. I would say this is like the this it shocked me. Like this was like when
Hmm.
chapter 2 ended, I was in shock because up until now, I liked Rhea as a character. I was really, I was like, oh, she's my girlfriend. Let's have cutesy hangout time together. Like I was all like supportive and I liked her. And then yeah, when that happened, I was shocked. I could not believe she killed someone. I was like, oh my God, this girl's a little crazy. Like, I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, so for me, it was a turning point. That for me, that's when I was like, yo, this girl, like, there's something up with this girl. Like, that's not okay.
Hmm. Yeah. What'd you think, Lala?
um
Was that okay for her to do?
yeah, I think like when I first finished like the chapter, I know that this is like where it gets dark. It's like starting to get dark. Like I kind of get like the vibe, but not really sure. Like in the first chapter, but like on the
Hmm.
second chapter, I was like, oh, okay, this is not just like some like high school fun stuff, dating
Mhm.
a girl and everything with supernatural power. It's like it's something bigger, and I just really think that Raya is like a very mentally unstable like girl, and that's where I know like something is kind of feels wrong, because I was still actually like had like a positive thinking of, oh, Eric is not really like dead, or like he's just like vanishing but not actually.
Yeah.
No, I was
Yeah.
still thinking was like that, because all the supernatural stuff, I still think that it's not real, like quote unquote. It's just
Hmm.
like something like for like temporary, I guess. It's not like permanent. But when like the chapter really ends, I really think like, wait, is Eric like actually like just gone like that? Like what is happening? Like
Mhm.
like I didn't know like she can do that. But when I was starting like the chapter 3, like I knew that, oh, shit, this is real. Like he's
Mhm.
just gone. Like, and that's where
Mhm.
like it's starting to hit me. Like, oh, okay, okay. I'm sorry. Like, ever thinking that this just like still like a positive, like a happy game. It was actually like starting to get real dark and stuff. So.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Yep, and now we're hitting probably one of the darker chapters of this game, chapter 3, um, which kind of takes place right after the events of Eric. You lose consciousness, but every time she uses her power in a big way, we start seeing the sky crack a little
Mm-hmm.
bit
Mhm.
further.
Mhm.
So we can tell that not only is these powers not doing good for her, they are probably not good for what's going on
Oh
right now
no.
in the world. Like the more
Mhm.
she uses it, the more like the world seems to be getting closer to its end.
Oh no.
And then we get to chapter 3, where all of a sudden,
Oh no.
like people don't seem to know one of the
Wag na, ka
characters
na
who
puputok sa
was kind of like the valedictorian,
bakit crazy.
Lulu, and everyone just kind of almost was scripted. Like they no one seemed to be in the right mind. Uh, so it was it we lost her.
Oh, I think we lost her, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, 40. Let me put a note here.
Okay.
Welcome
Hello.
back.
I sorry. So
40.
so it like suddenly it changed like to
Hmm.
the Wi-Fi and not my mobile hotspot. And I've already like
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah. So sorry for that. Where we at again?
We are starting chapter 3 here. And we're noticing that everyone is acting very weird. Lala was not or Lulu was not um
It's not
no
me.
known to like anyone. And
Mhm.
yeah, I'm just making a quick little note
Yeah.
here so that Corey
Yeah.
knows.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, I think we also noticed
Gonna be
too that every
quiet.
time you mentioned Rhea to someone, they started glitching out and spazzing and then
Mm-hmm.
like repeating a like set statement. So,
Yep. So, uh, all right, starting now. So we know that, something is definitely not right. We know that Rhea is most likely behind what's going on, but she is nowhere to be found. So you kind of go through another like character building, world exploration session with Lulu, only instead of fetch quest this time, it's gathering evidence in a Ace Attorney like trial, complete with
mhm.
finger pointing and objections,
I
which,
actually loved that. I thought it was so fun.
How was
Ace
that part
Attorney
to you?
was, yeah, Ace Attorney is one of the games that got me into like visual novels, in my opinion. So
Mhm.
it was awesome to see like that, like nod to it. Oh, it's the pen.
Oh, awesome.
Rick, thank you
Does
so
it
much.
say objection or what's it say?
I
I
it
think it's hold it.
yeah, it's hold it.
Oh,
I
no, it's the, Psylocke.
it's
The
my luck.
Psylocke.
Thank you, Patrick.
You're welcome. Yeah. No, unfortunately, Lala was not at PAX West, but I found that and I was like, "Oh, Lala would totally love this." So, I, made sure that her boss gave it to her. Um, but yeah, so, during this is also kind of where we get our confirmation that Eric is truly gone because we
Mm-hmm.
do talk to
Mm.
Eric's uncle, and Eric's uncle is like freaking out. Like, no, Eric would not run away. Something happened to him.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's Lulu's getting fiery because she apparently you got a feeling that she and Rhea weren't always eye to eye, especially with the flashbacks of how every character was comparing Rhea to Lulu,
Mhm.
and it didn't make Rhea look good didn't present Rhea into a good light because it seemed like every time she got mad, she would then scramble someone's mind with her powers.
Mhm.
Um, and so we finally get confront Rhea at the bridge where she was trying to gather like a firework so she can check that off of her bucket list. And there, Lulu confronts her as well. Lulu has transformed into a swan, and it actually looked more like a harpy, but it's a swan. And again, Rhea's just like, you know, bring
Mhm.
her down, wiping her out of existence again because Lulu was just just like ripping her up in terms of her
Mhm.
words, was being very sharp, being very honest, and Rhea did not like that.
Mhm.
And Rhea, you know, at this point, I think Atma is going like, what the heck is going on here? She just killed another person. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mhm.
she's controlling the entire town. And oh, look, now she just created like a meteor in the sky and literally had it crash down onto Locust City.
Mhm.
And, her spectacular firework. Um, so yeah, Rhea's definitely coming off as a villain character, and
Mhm.
that she's probably going to have to be stopped. And so we get into chapter 4, where unlike the other chapters, this one is opened up in a very ruined Loca City. Um, like it's absolutely chaos. Like people are dancing in the streets like madmen. Like it's just like the end is coming. There's debris falling out of the sky. That's part of the mini games now is that you have to kind of dodge like debris that's falling. You also now get a magic wand that allows you to not just space dive, but now you can kind of travel to different points in time
Mhm.
as well.
Mhm.
And we're learning that maybe space dive wasn't always the best option, as now these characters that you previously space dive are very muddled. Um,
Mhm.
so it's starting to call into questions your actions, as well as just kind of Raya's actions. Like maybe all these like powers meddling with all the other characters is not exactly a good thing. And
Mhm.
yeah, again we meet one of the main characters now, Marin, who was an old friend of Raya. Um, but something went weary in the past, and but this is like the best knowledge that we have of what Raya was like in the past. Unlike the other characters, Marin knew what she was like younger. She knew about Atma, but she didn't realize that Atma was a real person because she never actually met Atma before. And
Mhm.
so, it's kind of bringing up a little interesting flag here. Like, why does she not know who Atma is? But in different cutscenes that we get in every chapter beginning, we kind of get an opinion that Atma kept himself as a secret because he's a high school boy. She was probably a middle school girl. I'm
Mhm.
not sure about Indonesian culture, but America, that is usually a red flag, and
Mhm.
someone's going to get hit with, uh, sex offender here,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
regardless of whether or
Well,
not anything has happened.
yeah, actually, from the uniform itself, it's actually a high school uniform, like which everyone was wearing and Atmas too. So I can safely say that Atmas and Raya like is they are on like the same school, like I think high school, I think.
Mm.
Um since
But
like
what
in
about
the
Atma and Nirmala? I
sorry?
think that was the worry there. Atma and Nirmala?
Oh, Atma and Nirmala. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is another thing because like Nirmala is actually like an elementary student from like based on the
Mhm,
uniform. So here,
mhm,
all the public school has like the same uniform. For the elementary student, they have like white shirt on and red skirt. Middle school is white shirt and blue skirt and or pants, and high school is
mhm.
like white shirt and gray skirt or pants. As for university, they don't really have any uniform. So yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah. So that's probably why this was kind of a secret. It would not have looked good of a high schooler and
Yeah.
a elementary school of
Yeah.
no relation kind of hanging out together.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still like, Marin was our best bet. We also kind of learned that Rhea's name might not really be. Well, actually, at this point, I don't know about you, but Marin, in my opinion, like when I first played this, I was thinking Marin was Nirmala at this point because a lot of clues
Oh.
kind of pointed out, like having the book in the beginning, knowing
Mm-hmm.
about the past, and having like a hideout that looked just like
Mm.
the one in the introduction of the game. It's like, you know what? I wonder if Marin might actually be Nirmala at this point.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
Yeah, but we kind of like as we're going through this, we are learning that no, Marin is not Nirmala. Nirmala is actually Raya, and
Hmm.
that was her real name before she started calling herself that. Um, which it's like, okay, this is interesting. Like, but it still raises questions. Why, does Atma have no memory of like Raya being Nirmala if they've known each other for this time, or like there's a lot of
Mm.
questions coming up at this point. Um, but we also still see that like evil streak that Raya is going through, but we're also seeing evidence of why she's kind of going through that. Like we're starting to see signs of bullying. Um, like she was bullied from her past based on the information that Marin was giving us. And we also like it's. I mean, I think this is kind of at the point where we find out that Nirmala is Raya,
Hmm.
but they're just like two separate. Like they're the same person, but one's the younger version, one's the older version.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we also find out that Raya also is not happy with Marin, and we see that Marin turns into a giant snail. Also, Raya has created her own version of Atma at this point, a more darker, sinister, bad
Yeah.
boy Atma.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
Also, she crashed a plane into the school. That was kind of
Hmm.
freaky.
That was freaky, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah, we lose Marin as well. She gets wiped out from existence too. Uh, Mostly because like she was trying to bring like Raya, but you're like, hey, this is not you. This is who you really are, and she didn't want to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so the world kind of gets like ripped up to shred, and we're finally up to chapter 5. Um, and this kind of this one is opened up in more of a void space, and we're actually saved by this monstrous cat that has been appearing through various space dives. Um, what we kind of skipped was a lot of these main characters you space dive into them, and we find that Nirmala, a version of Nirmala, is like looks like they're corrupting the character. We find out what's really going on in this chapter. Chapter 5 is the chapter that brings all of this together. Um, but we find out that Nirmala is actually trying to save Raya because what Raya's doing is very harmful to her current self. There's something seriously wrong with. Oh yeah, we also find out that uh Emma was dead. Emma didn't survive the water in chapter 4. That was another thing that we found out.
Hmm.
That was kind of a shock. What do you guys think?
Not to me, because I don't know. I already assumed
Mhm.
he was dead since chapter one. Like at the start of the
Really?
game, when the game starts
Mhm.
off with him drowning,
Yeah.
that was like my guess right off the bat. I was like, oh, I think that's a memory. I think he died, and I think this is a make believe world. So I guess I wasn't shocked. So this whole time I was under the impression he actually was dead.
Wow. You're probably pretty fun with like mysteries, aren't you? You're probably the one
I
that's
like
like
that stuff. Yeah.
you
Ah.
point in, you're like, it was him. He's the killer. So yeah. Uh yeah, that's cool. The
Mhm.
fact that you got the plot pretty much on point there, that this was a make believe world. Atma was dead. You're all
Mhm.
in Raya's consciousness right now. And Raya is not doing very well in the physical world. We find out that she is deteriorating, which could mean a few things, but I think most of us at this point kind of point on to she probably tried to kill herself, based on kind of the interactions that we've seen.
Mhm.
And Bosk, I think that's how you pronounce it,
Yep.
Bosky,
Bus,
Bosk,
busk, busk. I think busk.
Bosk, yeah.
Musk.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
it's also
French.
like pronounced like Basque, but in Indonesian, it's more of like bosku. Bosku means my boss. So boss is like boss, and ku is like mine. So it's like my boss, bosku.
Oh,
Bosku.
okay.
But you can pronounce it as like
Okay.
bas because it's how it's written.
Hmm. Okay. Bosku.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, I was looking at them like, how do you pronounce that? Like it obviously looks French, but all right. So Bosku, it mentions that, like, okay, Nirmala is trying to save Raya because she and Raya are the same person. But this is the part that Raya is rejected, and we need to bring like Raya to make like common sense again. Otherwise, she is going to die.
Mm-hmm.
And so chapter 5 has us kind of go through a very destroyed Locust City. Like it's basically floating pieces of rock and buildings and debris everywhere. You're fighting zombie forms of Atma. You get a really cool fight scene between Admiral and Bosk, and
Yeah.
that was kind of cool because they're like
Yeah, yeah,
fighting in
yeah.
the background while
It
you're
was
moving.
so cool. I just wanted to sit there and like watch him. It was so cool.
Yes, like
Hmm.
more of like cat fight, but make it like
Mhm.
10 times cooler, you know?
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, you got a little bit of Dragon Ball Z going on here, with that. And then Bosk and Admiral both kind of like they decided to put their differences aside because they broke kibble together. I love how gentlemanly Bosk
Mhm.
kept calling Admiral his princess and just like, listen, we both want the same thing. Let's just not fight here.
Mhm.
And then it leads you to basically the final boss fight of the game, where
Mhm.
Raya is now in her goddess form, like just this big blue puff of like ethereal like version of her, and
Mhm.
she's
Mhm.
playing around with Atma. She's like, I have all the power in this world. You are going to be here with me whether you like it or not. This is how my dream is going to end, with you by my side. And so she's playing around, she's doing like little finger flicks and like sending debris after him, and then kind of shifting up the world depending on like what she wants to like show him, like the fireworks or Cat Wonderland. Like she's playing around with them, trying to like be like, hey, I can do anything here. This is my world. I want you here with me in my world, and Atma is like, no, I can't do this. This is very, very wrong. I need you to see that this is very wrong. And it starts getting Raya mad to the point where
Mhm.
now instead of finger flicking him, she's starting to punch him with her full like goddess self. And we're also at this point starting to see her lose like her control. Like once Atma like she tries to force Atma to say things like I want to be with you forever. Like you are like the most like this is how I want to spend the last few moments of my life. And Atma was refusing. And so she got mad and it's like started coming to conclusions like, oh, you don't like me because you think I'm a freak too, just like everyone
Mhm.
else. So while she is struggling, to fight Atma, her demons are starting to form around her. And like in a sense, these are what's wearing her down in the final boss fight is the ghosts who are telling her that she's not good enough, that she is an
Mhm.
embarrassment, she is a freak, she should go kill herself. Like it's all these thoughts and these opinions of like what she envisions people telling her what she was because in fact she was bullied. These are what the girls did or her friends with Lulu did. These are, the opinions that Marin gave when Marin, ditched her to go with other people. Or this is, Eric making her feel like she was a freak. Or even worse, her parents, belittling her or her dad, abusing her and
Mhm.
her mom doing absolutely nothing about it. Like, you hear her cry, like, Mom, why aren't you doing anything? Dad really hates me. Like, these are really tough things that a person can actually
Mhm.
like hear. And
Yeah.
it breaks her down and it just like that's it. Like she's done as a boss. And the next time you actually find her, she's you see her giant form like just kind of in almost a fetal position, like just defeated enough that you can dive into her mind and see
Mhm.
what is really going on in Raya's mind. And like this, I feel like this is probably the best parts of the game
Mhm.
because it literally starts looking into the depression aspect. Like this is what's really in Raya's mind. And
Mhm.
we're going through her house. We're seeing just what an asshole her dad is.
Mhm.
Threatening to beat her up, yelling, telling her that she is worthless. Having her mom, kind of not really do anything to like defend her. Like and we
Mhm.
see Raya finally, Raya at this point is like I don't care anymore. Like, you proved to me that you don't want to be with me. The rest of the world absolutely hates me. I'm just going to lie here in my room until everything's done, until this world's vanished and gone. And she constantly is kicking Atma out with her magic. Like, she knows she can't destroy Atma. Atma is, for some reason, some anomaly in her dream and she's just like snapping him back out of the house. But Emma comes back and like he changes his discussions, I guess. Instead of
Mhm.
like coming out straight and saying, "Hey, I want to help you," it's more like, what can I do? Like, can I stay here with you? Can I like wait, like just be here, let you know that okay, I can't do anything for you right now when you're in this mood, but I'm still here. And,
Yeah.
I love the thing, like, how he's like, hey, I'm a memory. And that's the thing, memories linger. And she's
Mhm.
like, oh,
Yeah.
I guess that's my curse.
Yeah.
uh,
I would say one thing I did like about the dialogue was I feel like initially he was kind of making it about himself, like, I'm here to
mhm,
help you. What can I do? But then when he had his shift, it was like, how are you? Are you all right? Do you want to talk about it? And I feel like that was like a big shift because then now it was about her feelings and how she's doing. And I feel like that kind of helped her open up because she was kind of like, someone actually cares, to like listen to
Okay.
me or cares how I'm feeling type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Yeah. So yeah, like it's kind of tough to watch, but at the same time, it's like you know, I- the in my opinion, this is what someone with depression is going through. Like in their mind, they are definitely the only ones that are battling this. That there's nothing, like you said, when someone's like, "What can I do to help you out?" It's like, well, this isn't about you. This is about me.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I there's nothing you can do because it's you're not really helping you. You're
Mhm.
not really helping me. You're helping you and making
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
yourself feel better about this situation. Um, there's a lot, even if like that's not the main intention of the character. Like, I'm very sure that was not Atma's intention to be like, oh,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make this about me. Like, he
Mhm.
generally does care. He just didn't know how to approach it right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, I mean, I don't know how like comfortable you guys are sharing or about like sharing situations like this, but I feel like Raya absolutely resonated with me, especially when they were talking about when she finally breaks down and they're sitting on the roof and they're having the discussion about what makes them happy, what makes them sad.
Mm-hmm.
And like things that Raya said was like, well, something that makes me upset is the fact that I see everyone else happy around me. And like,
Mhm.
I can't feel that. Like, every time I try to feel at peace, my sadness just comes right back again. You know,
Mhm.
I've gone through a lot of what Raya did. My childhood is
Mm-hmm.
kind of spot on to how Raya's childhood was.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I didn't have a very good relationship with my dad, and it came to the point where my dad actually disowned me, left me on my mom's
Oh my
doorstep, and
god.
just, left me. Yeah, I, I was basically emotionally like hurt by some of the
Mhm.
actions that my dad did, and that kind of made me feel like, I guess, more insecure about myself and made me
Mhm.
more of prominent being bullied in school and getting people, to basically call you freak, tell you that you really, stop kidding yourself. You're never going to amount to much and you should just go and end your life. Like this, to me, I felt like I was being heard when I
Mhm.
was reading this. Like this is something that no professional has been ever able to connect with me in this regard because
Mhm.
again they feel like it's like they want to help, but they want to help because that's what they're supposed to do. Instead, it's
Mm-hmm.
like this is
Mhm.
someone who's experiencing the same thing I did, and this is what she's going through, and she knows exactly how to feel or
Mm-hmm.
what she's
Mhm.
feeling. And it's cool to see someone like Atma because that's what you almost want and a friend, when you're in
Mhm.
this kind of a mood. You want someone to just be there, so
Mhm.
that when you're ready to talk to them,
Mm-hmm.
they're there and they're willing to listen. And so it's this really hit hard. Um I don't know if you guys I know Lala, you said you kind of had a similar situation with Raya. Like I
Yeah.
guess if you're willing to share.
Oh yeah, sure. Well, fortunately, it's not like about my family. It's more of about my school life, like when I was in the elementary and middle school. So back then, like liking something, um, I would say like right now, pop culture is like more acceptable. Like even like some people seen it as something cool, But back then, when I was still like elementary, I was so into like pop culture, the games, manga, anime, and stuff like that. But it was seen as
Hmm.
something like freak or uncool or like just nerd and stuff. But and
Mm.
I think like it's good that it's more like people like starting like to accept the pop culture more. But it was one of my, I think, big part in my life because I actually like grew up with art, grew up with pop culture. It's something that really close to me and I enjoy it very much. But at that time, it was also the reason why people like bullied me. And yeah, I think it happens really bad. Like I was like, they keep bullying me from like elementary school to middle school. Like people calling me freaks. People don't want to be friends with me just because I like
Mm.
those things. And
Mhm.
um, I was glad that I did not let my interests go. Like, and I still love those things even until now. But I, in high school, I also like kind of have similar experience of bullying, but not with my friends, but with teacher. So I went to like a fine art high school. It's like
Hmm.
more of a vocational school to kind of like pursue my art career and stuff. But I was actually like going through one of my worst like art depression, is that if that makes any sense. And like it kind of traumatized me to actually starting to make art because I was bullied by my teachers for not um, for not making art that it's supposed to be. And she just like keep telling me that it's not good. It's like something that I shouldn't do or shouldn't like. And and yeah, it's actually like kind of traumatized me to the point where I can't enjoy making any art anymore. And well,
Oh,
gladly,
no.
yeah, I kind of get over it like maybe a couple years ago. For your information, I was in high school from like to 2017 to, oh sorry, 2015 to 2017, but it still like affects me like years later. Yeah,
Hmm.
I got over it like a couple years ago, but it was like very hard because art is was one of my like happiness, like where I can be truly myself, where I can express myself. But the moment where I kind of can't feel any enjoyment or happiness from making art because I was traumatized by all the things that happened in high school, it really like hits me because it was literally my world, and it feels like it just shatters. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'm glad that I starting to kind of like get over it, starting to feel enjoyment of making art again, even though sometimes it's still like kind of come and go, but it's definitely so much better now. So yeah.
Mhm.
I'm glad that you're able to find, the happiness into your art again.
Mhm.
Like,
Thanks.
yeah, no, having your dreams crushed, it it hurts. Like,
Yeah.
so. How about you, Taylor? How do you relate to Raya or Atma?
Um, yeah, it's interesting because like I could definitely relate in the past. Because I went through a lot of stuff growing up. Um, yeah, I didn't really have the best time growing up. I think like I didn't get bullied in school, so I can't relate to her on that level, but when I was like I would say during high school and stuff and even like early college, my sister was very mean to me, which is surprising because me and my sister are like this nowadays. Like we have no issues now, but
Hmm.
um, she admitted she was like jealous of me because I was kind of like popular, and she wasn't. But she was very, very, very mean to me. She made me cry all the time. She said really nasty things. My mom also said really mean things about me. So I didn't really enjoy being home. And then on top of that, um, some people know on Twitter, but my parents had a very volatile relationship. mainly because my dad would be like very angry, and he was very scary angry, like breaking stuff, throwing stuff, punching, like very scary to be around. So I can relate to her in terms of just being belittled all the time by my own family and just living in not a safe space, because I got to the point that I was finding any excuse I could to leave the house because I didn't like being home at all. Like I was crying like myself to sleep all the time. Um, and eventually I moved out to a whole nother state to get away from my family. Um, but it's just interesting because like I used to have depression. I suffered from like very, very, very severe depression. And it got really, really bad when I was like 24, 25 years old, to the point I had like to call a helpline, and I ended up going to therapy. And since then, I've been super happy. Like, I've had no issues at all for the past 10 years. So for me, it's interesting playing this game because I feel like if I had played it when I was younger, I think it probably would have hit me more. But it's like I've been so happy in my life now that I don't even think about those times anymore. Like my past, I don't even think about it. So when I was playing this game now, I couldn't relate to it, if that makes sense. Like in
Mm.
today's, at my age now, I couldn't relate to it. Um, but despite that, it's like I can understand, because I dealt with depression. So I'm like, I can understand where she was coming from. I understand how these feelings used to be.
Mhm.
Um, and to me, I feel like you can tell a story's really impactful because despite the fact that I couldn't relate to it now, like it still made me cry. It was still very touching, and it was just like an amazing experience and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
yeah.
Hmm. Awesome. It is cool that like we video games is such an interactive medium, and to the point that it can either like we can in a sense either relate to what's going on or understand
Mhm.
them to some point of like these characters and how like how they are, how they came to be. Like it's I think it's really good storytelling when you can make those characters almost similar to your reader, I guess, so
Mhm.
that they can, it puts them in their shoes a lot better, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So we're coming up to the end here in the game. Uh, and what's cool about this is we kind of get also a shift in how like Ry- Raya admits that she is not happy where she is. Like the world that she created is artificial, and she knows that. And she wants to still. She has hope that well, not hope, but she wants to be like Nirmala again. Or she wants to have that part of her that she separated a long time ago.
Mhm.
To be her with her again.
Mhm.
And so we get this part where they start making this journey, and it's an uphill journey where where Raya's world is starting to crumble. Um, Atma is like holding her, holding her shoulders, helping her walk up this uphill battle in a sense. And they're having little bits of discussion, little honest talk, like, what do you plan on doing here when like you're back into the real world? And one of the things that touched me was like, she's like, do I have to forget you? You know, when I'm up there, and Atman, of course, is like, no, absolutely not. I'm here with you 100%.
Mhm.
Um, and then they reach a storm cloud, and this is kind of like the last thing that Raya has to do and able to overcome her fears, her insecurity. Like this is where she has to admit, all the truths that she was like, I guess, trying to shelter herself from. Like Eric, like what's cool about this scene is that we lose Atma at this point. This is where the game all of a sudden shifts from Atma being the main character to Raya being the main character, because we're
Mhm.
no longer controlling
Mhm.
Atma. We are controlling Raya. And so she
Mhm.
meets each one of the characters that has harmed her, Eric. She tells him that I cannot forgive you, you know, and like it's going to take me time. Like she admits that. She goes to Lulu and she's like, you know what? We just didn't understand each other very well. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's why this thing's heated. Like Lulu thought she was stealing her identity, and Raya was constantly getting attacked about it. It's like, you know what? We could possibly be friends on like a different level, but we just have to understand ourselves better. Marin, she's like, you know what? I was jealous of you, Marin. Like you were my friend, but at the same time you had advantages that I could never have because of my situation with my family.
Mm-hmm.
And that, that they could still possibly be friends after all this. And then we finally get to Raya's dad. And Raya's dad is still the monster. Raya's backing up, like, I can't do this. I cannot confront the thing that, has created my insecurity in the first place. And like you hear Atma, and he's like, I'm still with you. But as she's backing up, she hears another voice. And she turns around and she sees her mother. And her
Mm-hmm.
mother is like, I know I haven't been good to you, but I thank God every day that you're alive because you give me strength to get through my days
Mm-hmm.
as well. And so we
Mm-hmm.
are going to get past your father together.
Mm-hmm.
And so that gave Raya the strength to be able to confront her dad and say, thank you for all that you did, but I don't want you in my life anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and basically having her dad be like, do whatever you want. They just like move past that. And then she finally gets to Bosk and Admiral, and she's like sad that it's like, hey, I feel bad that I couldn't give you the life that you deserve. And they're being like, we're cats, Our
Mm-hmm.
our probably the greatest sorrow that we have is that we have such short lifespans and we can't, be with you your entire time. But just
Mm-hmm.
know that, like you meant something to us.
Mm-hmm.
She gets through that storm cloud and Atma's, comes is back by her side again, helping her walk through. But at this point, again, you're not Atma. You are now
Mm-hmm.
Raya.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you get into the next scene, Atma is like, okay, we're here, but I need you to walk the rest of the way. I'm going to be behind you, though. So you are controlling Raya to get into the train car that she meets Nirmala, and she and Nirmala are able to reconcile and be like, hey, I'm sorry I pushed you away. Don't worry about it. I'm just glad that you're here with us now. And the two pieces of Nirmala and Raya fusing together and creating a whole new Raya. Knowing that she is whole one more time.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's beautiful music going on that's just like making this so super emotional. And then we
Mm-hmm.
get to like kind of the final cutscenes where, you know, Atma and Raya are standing there and, it's like, well, this is you're about ready to go home now. Like and she's like, I really don't want to forget you. And we get the cutscene like the world is ending now. That she's being
Mm-hmm.
lifted up into back to her place. Atma's still on the ground, but he's holding on to her. She's holding on to him. We see kind of a tear first in Atma's eye, but then like shows her face too. And then we kind of go back to Atma and we see him smiling, and he releases her
Mm-hmm.
hand, and she goes floating up into the sky while he's just happily waving to her just before he vanishes. And she goes flying up into out of her space that eventually implodes and back into real life where she meets the best support that she could have now. Her mom waiting at her at the foot of the hospital bed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like at this point I was bawling. Like this was such a beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful
this
ending.
is
Like,
that whole everything, her confronting all the people, Atma walking
Mhm,
her up, and like, yeah, I was crying. This game made me cry a lot. I was like, they did a really, really, really good job of the storytelling through all of that
Mhm.
right there.
mhm,
Yeah.
yep. Wow.
I
And
really think.
then we get. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I really think like
No,
the
go.
ending where she walks with Atma behind him and just like confronting everyone, Eric,
Mm-hmm.
Lulu, Marian, and her dad. It's like the ending that I really need to see. Like I myself can't get like can't really like doesn't have the chance to do that or like just to forgive like people who hurt me. But like
Mm.
seeing it on like the game, I feel like it's something that I need to see,
Mm,
even though I haven't like really done it before. But it's for some reason like kind of brings like some kind of like acceptance to myself too. So yeah, I think it's something that I need to see for myself, like for personally. So it was so
Mm-hmm.
good. I was like bawling like all my eyes out and like 4 a.m. and everything. Like it's still fresh in my mind. And I think
Mm-hmm.
at one point, like actually my parents on the next on, in the morning like asked me like, did you cry like at 4 a.m. last night? Yeah. What happened? Like they actually worried and I was like, oh, it's okay. I just played the game and it was really good and they were like, oh, okay. But yeah, I was
Mm-hmm.
crying so hard because like it really hits home, but it was so good. So yeah.
mhm. Yeah, no, what's beautiful about that is Raya didn't forgive everyone and that she
Mm,
walked to in the cloud, but
Mm-hmm.
what she did was she accepted that these were parts of her. Like they showed sides of her that she tried to ignore, such as her jealousy, but also
mm,
showed the
Mm-hmm.
sides that, she has to be accepting. She doesn't have to forgive it, but she has to acknowledge it that that is now part
mm.
of her too. And I think that's kind of what the beauty of that ending was.
Yeah.
It's that she's not coming out of this, unscarred. She's going to be working on herself for a very long time, but
Mm-hmm.
she has accepted that the part that she tried to hide and the part that she tried to destroy is now, is a part of her, and that will help her with her walk and her journey and her healing. um, which is awesome. Which is the last kind of scenes that we get in the game is an aftermath where she finishes writing her
Mhm.
story about the Star Princess, and she goes and she takes a quick walk and kind of sees all the other people who have like been a part of her life. People like Miss Neekin, Marin, Lulu, even Eric had a little bit, and like just kind of get a little aftermath with all those characters. And even Eric, like she still did not accept, like she still did not forgive Eric. But Eric
Mm-hmm.
also, it was nice to see that he was working on himself too. And even though
Mm-hmm.
he admitted, like, I can't be honestly tell you that I'm sorry, because if I do, I'm just saying it to make myself feel better and not actually mean it. So, but that he will hopefully have those words to her one day.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get the credit sequence where we get to see Lala's name in the credits during the rain in the bridge.
Yep.
You have
And
to
if
rebeat the game now and look for it.
yep. No. And then if you did finish the bucket list, you got one more scene where she visits the broken down pier and says kind of like one last goodbye to Atma. Just let her know that, you know, even though the world's changing, her memory of him will always stay precious to her,
Mm-hmm.
and that she is moving on
Mm-hmm.
slowly but surely. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the game.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Hmm.
it's been a
Yeah.
ride.
So,
Yeah, very
yeah,
powerful.
Mhm.
yeah. I was honestly worried that I wouldn't have the same emotional impact on me the second time I played through this game, but it was,
Hmm.
you know, while it didn't hit me as hard, it still hit me enough that like I can still say this is probably one of my favorite games I've ever played. Um,
Hmm.
just because of how it made me think a lot
Mhm.
about my life and just depression in general.
Mhm.
Um,
Hmm.
so I said we were going to go through questions, and we kind of worked through them as we talked about this final chapter. But
Mhm.
there is one question that I do want to ask, just kind of a fun question here to end in this one, and that is the theme of the bucket list. Originally, I was going to say what are three things we would love to have on our bucket list, but let's just go with one. So, if we were to add one thing to our bucket list that we would like to complete in 2025, what would that thing be?
Oh, actually, I was about to say the first thing that I would put on my bucket list would not be completed in 2025. So to think of a new one. Um,
Hmm.
that's hard. I feel like most of mine wouldn't be completed next year. So I'm like, I don't
Same.
know.
But well, one of my bucket list is to like kind of travel the world, like at least all countries in Southeast Asia and Asia. But I don't think it's going to be completed in next year because we have a
Mm.
real tight schedule and stuff. So yeah. Hmm.
Well, you know what? Let's ditch the whole 2025 thing. What would be the one thing we would want to complete on our bucket list?
I feel like mine are kind of simple. Let's see. Mine always have to do with traveling too, but I would say my
Hmm.
ultimate bucket list goal, because this could take, I don't even know if this is possible. I would love to see my favorite animal in person. And my favorite animal are baby harp seals. They're like the cute white fluffy ones.
Yeah.
And
Like
Okay.
I told you
I love them.
so.
But I don't know where I would go to see one in person, but that is like my number one list. If I could see one in person, I would flip out.
Oh, so that you talk about like animals, I do have like a bucket list, but it's maybe like borderline impossible because one of my bucket list is to hug a bear. Like an actual like brown bear. Like I've seen like
Oh.
people actually domesticated like bears. I know it's
Mhm.
like dangerous and stuff, but they look so cute. Like
I think bears are so adorable, so I understand.
exactly. Like if I have to miss my life just to like hug a bear, I would definitely like it's fluffy and cute. But yeah,
Mhm.
especially
I
like
love that.
I know. Hmm.
Well, if we're talking about what animal we want to see before on our bucket list, mine would be a monkey.
You
Like
haven't?
I would love no, not like an actual like interact with an actual monkey
Like
Oh,
in the wild? Like you find a
in the
monkey in the
wild, or
wild?
I don't care if it's a wild or a domesticated monkey. I want a monkey on my shoulder
uh,
That would be so cool. I think some
and like
zoos,
combing
you can
my
pay for that.
non-existent hair. Yeah,
I
no.
That's
feel
so
like there's
funny.
a lot of monkey here in Indonesia, and even in Bali there's like this thing called monkey forest where it's just like
Mhm.
a forest full of monkeys, like literally like it's everywhere. But I had a like kind of bad experience with monkeys before because they steal my dad's eyeglass. So my dad
Mhm.
can't basically see anything and they just don't want to give it back, and they're just like so they like stealing people's things, like I've
Yep.
seen like people actually like lost their wallet and stuff, but yeah, you should definitely come to Indonesia. Like there's a lot of monkeys, like just like the ordinary gray monkeys, orang utan, and then anything like we have
Hmm.
lots of primates here. So
Nice. All right, I'm coming over to try the Indonesian food and play with the monkeys.
yes, yeah,
That you're gonna help me complete this bucket list here, Lala.
yes. Just whenever you're here, like I can, if it's possible, like I would definitely like show you around the area, and if I can't, I will definitely like like give you like all the things that you should do or all the places that you should visit when you're here. So
Oh
waiting for
yeah,
you.
no, it's I will you know what? I'm actually I know we were just kind of like talking about it, but I might actually take you up on this, okay? Just because I would love to get out of the country to
Yes.
some place, I've never been to.
Hmm,
I
hmm,
would
hmm.
love to see the Toge Studios.
Oh yeah, it's like in the Java Island. It's in Jakarta, I
Hmm.
think, in Tangerang actually, but it's like near Jakarta. So mhm.
Hmm.
You're
Yeah,
definitely
no,
welcome here.
awesome, cool. Well, I'll put it on my bucket list. All right, and with that, I think we're done with our uh a space for the Unbound
Yay!
book club. We can put this book to rest here. So I want to thank everyone who's made it this far, watching or listening, and thank you for supporting us here at the Boss Rush Book Club and the Boss Rush Network. You can continue to watch new episodes on the last Saturday of every month on your Boss Rush Expansion Pass podcast feed of your choice or on YouTube. And if you support us on Patreon, you're getting the show 1 month early or in the next couple days. If you're not, well, we will see you in February, but please consider, donating to Patreon. It's only $1 and you get awesome perks such as ad-free voting rights and listening to these really cool podcasts, earlier than other people.
Mhm.
And finally, check out bossrush.net and see our line of exclusive merchandise and all of our content. Um, Lala, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It
Thank
was
you for
awesome that we
inviting
could have
me.
you again.
Oh,
No,
it's
I, I,
yeah.
I
You,
keep
you can
thinking
go
like
first.
I want to do a Phoenix Wright or an Ace Attorney like series, and I know I want you to be a part of that
Oh,
eventually.
you should definitely like invite Sarah too. Like she's also like a huge Ace Attorney fan.
Hmm.
So mm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I would definitely get you. I would definitely get Sarah. I would need
Mm-hmm.
Taylor to get into this series, which
Yes,
is, it's only a couple 100 hours for the entire series,
I
but it,
would love to play those games. Like I've been wanting to.
it's
uh,
so good. It's so good. It's so good.
hmm yep, it's hilarious. It's funny. She's bringing out the blue badger.
Oh
Do,
my
do,
god.
do, 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 do,
Like
do,
kinda,
do, do, do,
Is
do.
he from the games?
yeah, it's
Yep.
like the mascot. He looks creepy.
Oh.
Once you get over it, like it actually looks cute.
Oh, I think he looks cute. So
Hmm. Yep. No, it's a great series. So definitely get into that. But yeah. Our next Boss Rush book club is going to be The Legend of Zelda: Echo of
Ooh,
Wisdom.
ooh.
So
Ooh.
stay tuned for that. It's what you guys voted for. So Taylor, thank you also for joining me tonight. It has been a pleasure as always to have you as my co-host.
Of course. And I'm so happy that this game won and that I got a chance to play it. Because, like I said, this is probably one of my favorite games now. Like, I thought it was just so well done and it was a great experience. So, thank you.
Hmm. Yeah. And also, we just want to say thank you to Jenny Wyndham. Kim Chica, she was supposed to join us tonight, but unfortunately, she got sick. So She is resting now, but definitely check out all her fun content on Wholesome Games. She has a lot of wisdom on anything cozy, and she is a really awesome person. So give her a follow if you guys can. And with that, we'll see you next month. Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.